Hey there, fellow princes and princesses. Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to Ratopia, Episode 9, New Timeline. So it looks like we need more metals to make more cogs, so let's go hunting for some copper. And rather than doing the mining ourselves, because, you know, we have citizens for that, I can send my citizens to do a lot of that. Do I have another... Oh, so here, I have a macro to respond to you. This copper's probably pretty far in order to obtain. I'll set up mining orders for it, though. But I'm sure there's copper that's easier to get the other direction. Now, if you're wondering, Radisson's Enjoy, like 3 of 25, is pretty good. Means like most of the needs of our Radissons are being met, which is... It's very rare to have no alerts in the top left, because Radissons, last I checked, and I suspect it still is true, the scheduler to order schedules is a little buggy, where like it messes with pathfinding and some of the AI. So I don't know. Oh, well, we have a disgruntled citizen, so that's not great. Oh, it's Marauder again. But generally, the advice that I read online about that was like, leave the scheduler alone, because it's messing with the default schedule is only going to be introduce pain points. So I suspect that still is the case. Hey, anglerfish. Come here. I believe this is a new enemy type. So this is a monkfish cave. But so I was coming down here because there's copper in this direction. So if I hold the mine like this, we can get a whole lot of it. And yeah, you're just disgruntled. And Highland Timber is stuck. Once I deliver these anglerfish, I'll free Highland Timber. It's just that he went to the wrong side of the mining tunnel, and then it's waiting for the tunnel to be complete. So if not mistaken, there's only 1 day of winter left, I think. So we weathered it with also getting, even increasing our food supply, which is pretty good. 2 people fed. Very nice. So if we're wondering about the bees, you can start an apiary in order to get resources. Every animal can be ranched. I think without exception. I think all the animals can be ranched. So it's something that you could do, which is useful to fulfill. Mostly they're ranched for like citizen needs. So like bats could be ranched for bat potions, and bees can be ranched for mead, I think. So all of the critters have their own purposes for ranching. So, did a little mining myself in order to supplement the amount of raw copper that we have to get those cogs and cog supply going. And that should help with the lift station manufacturing. It's also probably helpful to assign some of the beds that we need. Let's get up there and make sure that all of our Radizens have beds. Marauder and Neurone. Now, I haven't put in a lot more traps. The idea that I had for traps was this. So in order to prevent the enemies from entering the base from this section, which ultimately I'm not going to want them to be able to come in through here, is to have either a ladder or a lift station running here, giving enemies an alternative path, where then the enemies essentially go up to the surface to attack me, and they have to run a course of traps from the surface. So the concept would be, and with a little bit more thought, maybe it might be better to go from the left. Okay, I don't like any of those. Where instead of these wheat garden, this is just a giant line of traps here, and then at the end of this giant line of traps is a pathway down into the underground, in this spot where I'm standing. So that any enemies coming from the underground, if they want to attack us, path up this ladder. And it also means that my own citizens won't have easy access to get underground. So it's a double-edged sword. So I suppose what I could do is I can poll you guys, if that's something that you want me to do, is to use a really long trap path, meaning that my own people will have to traverse like a dirt road in order to get underground, but it also means that the enemies will have to traverse the same dirt road to get to us. Right, if it's convenient for us, it's convenient for them. So, do we set up a long trap path for enemies? Personally, I think it's maybe not that helpful, because we haven't really been facing situations where like we've had near-death experiences with attacks. But like if you think otherwise, that's fine. I'm happy to set up those trap paths if you think it's warranted. The alternative method would be to have an entryway into the base here. And it looks like you guys are voting no. So an alternative entryway here, where there is just a horizontal path around this section, which makes it easier to defend from. So mining it out like this, where the way into the base is a ladder section in this spot, and then everything here is just a whole bunch of traps. So any subterranean enemies coming in will have to traverse these traps in order to get inside. So it's way more convenient for our own Radizens to get in and out, but still there's some protection in terms of traps. Any shortcut made with gates and doors is a valid path of an attack for an enemy. So any path that your Radizens can take, the enemies can take. There's not really a way to avoid that. All right, let's see. How many lifts do we have? Enough for 2 more lifts. Cool. Let's add a lift section here and here. Starting to do 1 per floor. Who's stuck? Highland Timber's still stuck? Oh man, they're gonna have some real problems. I think they've been stuck a while. So I'll go down there. Oh! And manage it myself. So yeah, doors are valid points of attack for all enemies. So you can't just like build a door as a shortcut around a trap path and expect it to work, because the enemies will just use it too. Oh, and we're, speaking of which, being attacked tonight. Yeah, there you go, dude. Come back to civilization. So what I've got set up now is going to be enough of a trap path that it should handle most of the subterranean enemies until later in the game. Late game, things get a little bit more difficult, a little bit more dangerous, but the enemies that I've been facing so far are like pretty manageable with like basic infrastructure. So that's what we're doing now. So I have this horizontal level just beyond our gate, which will be lined with traps. Make it easier to auto-defend once it's dug out and built. Nice. And the lift station, so everything subterranean now, there's a lift per level, meaning that it's going to be really, really easy to rapid traverse around the around that section of the base. And we have another bed, so finding someone that needs a soft bed. So right here, I'm looking at residents, and I'm just finding anyone that lacks, like back roadrunner, that lacks a soft bed, so we can put them in there, and then slowly get all of my Radizens living above ground, so that I can set up the below ground as infrastructure projects and services and productivity and that kind of thing. It's not so important that the Radizens live adjacent to their workplaces. It really isn't that helpful in terms of efficiency, which is why I'm not really bothering with that. It's combat time. So here, you can see the traps triggering. So this is the advantage of having a bunch of trap corridors, is like, a lot of the enemies that reached us here are now pretty wounded, meaning that they're just a lot easier to clear. I'm gonna let my own defense force kill the rest. The only thing that you need to remember at the end of traps is, like, they do need repair. Now, there is a maintenance office that you eventually gain access to, which can do some of the repairs automatically, which is nice, but I don't have one set up. Also, like, a lot of the a lot of the buildings, like the maintenance center, are really only useful when you have a high population, where everybody needs, where you have a lot of people and need less micromanagement jobs. All right, I'm pretty wounded, so I'm going to dip out of this section of the fight, but I will grab Wishbringer and Fangface and put them in beds because they're injured. In fact, this fight is pushing us a bit to the limit, perhaps. I'm a little worried about this one, because I am out of HP, and we have some wounded people. I don't think... Yeah, this is not a good situation to be in. Who is the last wounded one? Oh god, getting to him is going to be rough. And this is why you need to, like, traps. Okay, yeah, I have a little bit of hit points. This is why you need traps down below. And I was building them in progress and hadn't finished them. Or even just, like, better equipment for myself. So I'm going to try to ignore these enemies to go for the rescues. Because Dead Cold and Steel Boot are very, very wounded. It doesn't matter what bed I throw them in. It's just so that they can recover. I should be red for this. Ow, ow, ow. Oh, man. Both of them are, like, brink of death. I'm glad the spitters missed. They broke the bottom lift. Yeah, given the quantity of civilians that I have fatally wounded, actually this might be a loss, because I don't think, if I get those spitters spitting on me, like, I'm just gonna die. So what I should have done is I should have micromanaged the, oh god, I can't even get up there. I should have micromanaged the trap project a bit more. Yeah, so I'm just gonna fight to my death here, so that I load and prioritize the traps a bit better. So what ends up, if the realm falls, is you can hit continue, and it's just like a more or less a save scum from a previous state. So the difficulty of the attacks do ramp up over time, and I hadn't really made... Oh, well, this is not a very helpful save. So I am going to load... let's go... Okay, yeah. Thanks, game. Like, yep. Realm falls. I'll have to go back to title and then load a previous autosave, because it's just going to keep reverting me back to that save point, I think. Yeah. Now, there is equipment that your queen or your princess can... I thought it had more save points than that. Oh yeah, it does. There's equipment that would have made it a lot easier for me to sort of solo that attack. I don't have strong armor. I'm wearing like ratty rags on my monarch. But what I can do this time around is just like prioritize... Oh, you know, there's not enough time. Well, we'll see how this one turns out, now that I know that this attack wave is a little bit more dangerous than the previous ones. But I might have to save scum again, because I'm really only given like 3 minutes to prepare. So the other thing to do here is if I controlled the fighters to escort me, it might have been a better situation. Yeah, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to revert. There's just not enough time to prepare for that fight, so it's not worth me attempting. It's better off if I go to one more autosave back and start micromanaging the trap setup from there. But controlling my own troops manually so that they're a little bit stronger, and then also prioritizing prioritizing better or more defenders and better gear, that kind of thing, would have helped out a lot. I mean, hindsight, of course, is 2020. All right, so Highland Timber is still trapped, but oh well. Boo for him. I'm not working on that right now. So let's prioritize the defenses. And it's pretty easy to do solo. I just need to do some of the heavy lifting myself. So the idea here is to put in a door in that spot. And then line this bottom floor with traps. And I won't even replace the floor because that's just more labor. That only really speeds us up, which is nice later on, but it's not needed for first version of like setting up traps. So the attack times are relatively scripted, meaning that like in 2 days' time, I'm going to get attacked by that same wave. So we'll see if micromanagement of the to prepare for it makes a significant difference. I suspect it will. The other thing I should probably do is I should go back up to the castle level and to set myself up with another town defender. So I'll do that in just a second here. Because they'll need about a day of training before they're able to actually fight capably. So if there is not a valid path for this grave, they'll tunnel to me, which is not good. So I want to make sure that that ladder path is built. So then, here, I just put traps all around this ladder, and that will help to automatically wound the things that are coming to attack me. So heading up here, let's get a 5th defender helping us out. I need some more planks. I'm not using the butchery, so I can destroy the butchery for planks, I think. Highland Timber is still stuck down below. I'll have to probably fix that myself. That would be my guess. So the last training camp is in progress. It might be time to start thinking about investing in the next tier of training camps. Hey, Glitch, thank you for the bits. But here, as you can see, the traps down here are already getting built. So soon we'll have some automatic defenses. There's 2 on the left and soon to be 2 on the right. And we'll just keep adding to them, and that could be our sort of trap corridor. And that will help out a lot, I believe. Training camp. Steel boot. No, should be steel boot. Someone who's fighting. All right, here we go. Lorx, you're going to be the new one, and you're going to be training to be a guard. So now we'll have 5. So 5 is the maximum squad size for the queen or the princess to control. You can obviously go over 5, but I would say 5 or 6 is a pretty good number to land on. Any more than that, and you might want to consider different tactics like more traps or other methods to defend against attacks. Because you don't want a really high percentage of your... Because with that 5th, a 5th of our entire population is dedicated to defense, and you wouldn't really want those numbers to go any higher, because any higher than that, you're like running into production problems where like too high of a percent of your population is involved in the defense of your town, and that doesn't really make all that much sense. The other thing I could do in preparation for this next attack is to forge myself. I think I was in the process of trying to forge chainmail armor. So chainmail armor comes with extra armor, and that's going to be really nice. Plate armor is even better, but I don't have the materials for that. So let's try to smelt up some chainmail if there's copper. Yeah, there's copper. And that will help out a lot, because it will allow me to do a considerable more tanking than the last fight. I think that will be pretty effective. So we have the armoring sword that gives armor, and then we'll also have chainmail that gives armor. So currently I'm wearing just a move speed clothing that gives a little extra HP, but the armor bonus from the chainmail is much better. And let's see if I'm bad at forging, so cross your fingers for me. Oops. You don't waste materials if you screw up, so you can... I don't love this part of the game, but you can try endlessly if you are bad at it. Done. And I'm going to equip it. So it's also useful to swap your gear out right before battle. So if you did want to run around with plate armor makes you really slow. So it kind of sucks to wear full time. But right before combat, you can always just throw it on. So now you'll see that I move a bit slower, but I'll have much higher defense when it comes to fighting the attackers coming in. Topping up my health. And there's also the accessory slot that I could change for even more defense too. So I only have 4 traps down here, but I think the chainmail plus even the just few traps that I've added in is going to be a significant difference when it comes time to actually defending. But we'll see. We'll see if I'm right or wrong. And the really important thing to remember is that your base needs to have a valid path into it. So you can't turtle in this game, or they'll just dig tunnels to you, and tunnels are way harder to deal with than enemies walking to you. Because when they tunnel to you, they get to you instantly, so you'll have to fight all of the enemies all at once. And in sections of your base you don't expect, because they'll just tunnel kind of randomly, so they'll pop up all over the inside of your base, causing a lot of havoc and damage. Which, to my mind, is way worse than funneling them through traps. Alright, here we go. Attempt number 2. So I'm waiting for some of the defenders to do the tanking for me so that I don't have to take so much damage. So the northern spawner is taken care of. Time to head back down. So they already broke through that wooden door, but the wooden door slows them down a little bit, allowing the defenders to arrive in time. I am going to tell my fighters to escort me, because they really only consider enemies that are attacking the infrastructure as, like, valid targets. But if I set them on escort, then they'll start to help me with this wave. The spitters, the ones that spit that, like, goo balls, those are definitely the most dangerous of the group, because they do high damage. And if I'm not mistaken, that's the last of the wave. And I barely took any damage, and nobody got wounded. Pretty huge difference between the time before. And also, there was, like, virtually no damage to the base. Few of the traps got triggered, and, like, the door got broken. Which is exactly what the traps and door are meant to do, so it filled its purpose. In terms of the other gear that would be useful in combat, so the Royal Ring does give you a little bit bonus HP, which is nice. You've got the Snorkel for water breathing, the Power Belt for lifting, carrying heavy things, the Bat Cape for fall damage. The Elixir recovers HP with each cycle, so that's really nice to have if you are not wanting to rest, but that doesn't really help you in the middle of combat. Ice Gloves for fire, but there's not a lot of fire damage early on. This one's helpful, so when you place a wooden Rhadamant in bed, they'll immediately restore them to full HP. So if you have beds near your combat choke points, it allows you to rescue your fighters, stick them into bed, and have them recover instantly. So that's a really big one. That does require Noxolin, which is not something that we have right now, but Noxolin is something that we could start to get. But that's the accessory. So the accessory slots that we've got here aren't going to be super helpful for combat, other than the rat trick, maybe. And then in terms of clothing, the chainmail with the +2 armor does a lot for our damage mitigation. The plate mail does even more and has a huge HP boost. So the plate armor is generally what I wear for big battles. And then the Pontiff's robe is what I like to wear when I have the materials for it, for when I am just traveling. So if you die, you get a free resurrection. Instead of dying, it does use up the Pontiff's robe, and then you normally move at 30% move speed, which is really nice. The worn out dress is at 20% move speed, which isn't bad. And then the other thing to aim for is the small sword. The small sword requires jewels and iron ingots, and it gives you also move speed. So generally, out of combat, I like a small sword and a Pontiff's robe for the move speed, so you can get around faster. And then in combat, going with like plate armor and an arming sword. So the reason for the arming sword is the only weapon that gives armor bonus. Some of the other weapons will show that it has a higher damage and splash damage, but they attack so slowly that often you get hit while trying to attack, getting knocked back and resetting your attack rate. So I do find that the arming sword is best, and I mentioned that last stream. Make sure that I'm on the worn out dress. The mouse stuck below, he got freed. I don't have the warning that he's stuck anymore. Hey, Tom. How's it going, dude? Playing Against the Storm. I have not returned back to the game since its big 1.0 release. How is it? That's a game I really love. It's not one that has done well on the, in terms of content creation, but it is a fun game. Also, Raiders, you come at a good time. It is the start of spring, so fresh blossoms in the air, and also I just emitted a new Rhadamant to the kingdom, so we're raffling that off now. Or the queendom, I should say. So we have Cooper here, soon to be added to our ranks. If you've ever played a game called Craft the World, this game is a lot like Craft the World. It's similar to Oxygen Not Included, but differs in a lot of ways. The main differences is, of course, there's actual combat, and you control an individual character rather than a general sort of puppet master of your entire kingdom. So, of those significant differences, it looks maybe a lot like Oxygen Not Included, but it does not play much like Oxygen Not Included, given the combat, diplomacy, trade, research tree. Everything is actually quite different. It's only really similar in appearance alone. You have some more exploration, and also for you new guys, what to research: structure, agriculture, industry, welfare, military, aesthetics, or royalty. And now that I have a few traps and a bit more security, I'm also going to have you guys decide what major projects to take on next. So I'm going to have 4 traps on either side of the descending stairs. So that's the 4th. And then we can take on some new projects. Who is a criminal? Nerone! Ah! Man, Nerone, literally you were like, I hope I don't break any laws, and then here you are literally being like the first criminal that we've had in a while. Because of course you are. Prison! So, it's springtime, and it's been like raining a lot. Uh-oh. Yep. I made some errors here. We need to close off our water well, because it's going to be leaking like crazy otherwise. Glad to see him healthy again. Sadly, I am not, but I can pretend to be. My throat is still on, let's say on fire. Which is mass sad. One of the mistakes I made here is I actually don't have a physical way to path to this dew collector, so I'm building some ladders in so that we can actually get there. One more minute to vote in the research. And there we go. Now our water well is set up. Actually, what's funny is the water collection spot got swamped because I hadn't added in that last stone, and it disabled the facility, meaning that like it was a negative feedback loop of like it's swamped and it's gonna get swampier. But we did just fix it. All right, let's call this one early and research some royalty stuff. So in the royalty tree, let's go with the bell tower and the telescope. And the royal wardrobe. I'd like bling. Bling me up. Diplomatic office is still exploring. So we'll continue with that. And then I'm going to have you guys vote on next goals. So I know I didn't really... I added some traps, but not a lot. And I haven't finished the lift system. But if you want the lift system, you can vote on organization. And if you want more traps, you can vote on security. So you're welcome to continue voting on that if you wish. And Cooper is... Oh, we already have an LEK. Cathodon. I don't think you have one already. Thankfully, it's alphabetized. No. So you will be the new one. I don't think I've raffled off Oscar either. No, maybe I have. I'm not going to rename them just in case there was an Oscar that got awarded that. All right, there we go. Thank you for tuning in to Ratopia, which originally streamed live on Twitch, February 6th. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you would like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching, and a special thank you to my Patreon patrons, Twitch subscribers, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. Hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow Ratopians.